Hey everybody, it's Mooney, and I wanted to welcome you to our kind of new and revitalized Step Into Your Spiritual Spotlight podcast, now available also on YouTube. If you don't know me or who I am at all, my name is Mooney, and I'm a spiritual entrepreneur and business coach, and I have spent the last 10 years working specifically in the New Age and spiritual space and a little bit of personal development to help teachers and authors and coaches and guides bring their messages to the world in a really powerful way and change the lives of millions of people all around the world from all walks of life. So I've been behind the scenes primarily on a lot of these things, and now I'm stepping into my own spiritual spotlight, coming to you on this podcast, coming to you on YouTube, so that you can start to get a little bit of coaching, a little bit of guidance, and a lot of support to get to that next step for you, whatever that is. So if you are just starting out and you're thinking, okay, well, I see these people on stage and I've read all these books and I've taken all these classes and I think I can do that. That's definitely one way of approaching this if you're brand new to the concept of like, maybe I could make a business out of this. And then other times it's people who are starting over. You've tried this once before. It was super frustrating. You kind of went it alone. You didn't have a lot of coaching and guidance. You didn't have a lot of community. You didn't have any support. And so you kind of felt all alone out there. And that's what primarily I'm encountering is a lot of people have tried to do this before, but they didn't do it inside of a group of peers that could help you celebrate your victories and help you support you through all of those frustrating moments of maybe a little bit of challenges or the things that are kind of getting in your way. And a lot of times what I find, and I think a lot of us find when we talk about coaching, is there's always that like blind spot thing that's in there where you can't see it no matter how hard you look. It just stays out of your line of vision until somebody comes through and says, oh yeah, it's this right here. Here's the problem. Here's the challenge. Here's the breakthrough opportunity. Here's the thing that you need to pay attention to. So that's kind of what this platform is all about. Now, I talk a little bit about how long I've been doing this, but I want to share a little bit about who I've been doing this for. My career started working with the one and the only, the big tall guy, Tony Robbins. I spent a lot of time there working in their creative department, learning from amazing people, and then I was promoted to the head of the tour. So I was managing that tour as it traveled all around the world, working directly with Tony to get that event happening, to change all of those lives, to support him through that process. After that, I found myself in this little publishing company you might have heard of called Hay House. And I was brought on to take very popular products, card decks, books, anything that had done really, really well, and start turning that into online learning. That's the opportunity that I was handed, and I started to run with it because I found myself in this place for the first time of saying, I think I know why I'm here. I think that all of this is lining up on my behalf to point me in the right direction of what it is that I'm meant to do. And so further leaning into all of that, I started working with other New York Times bestselling authors, helping them do their book launches, helping them launch courses. And it was just one of the most exciting times of my life. And little by little, as it started to unfold, I found myself becoming pretty much an expert in being able to launch products in a really compassionate and aligned way so that it didn't feel icky and it didn't feel like marketing and it didn't feel, like some of the sleaziness that some people associate with sales. And it felt more like creating opportunities and illuminating pathways and creating this conversation that teachers could have with their students to empower them in a whole new way. So this whole exciting path has led me to work with amazing people: Neale, Walsch, Denise Lynn, Radley Valentine. The list goes on, and I get really excited. It's so hard to name them all, but the one thing I want to say this to you, the why I want to bring this to your attention, is that I've been able to take a peek behind the curtain to see what actually works. What are the things that are important? What keeps these teachers going? What makes them tick? Like, how do they get up in the morning every day and say, today is going to be an amazing day of changing lives and creating opportunities? So I feel like I've just gotten like this masterclass education of seeing how that all works from behind the scenes and also supporting that and helping it to grow. So that's sort of what I want to bring to all of you through this podcast, through these videos on YouTube, is an opportunity to say, okay, well, if I were in their shoes, how would I wake up every day and create those opportunities? How would I do it with a total sense of integrity and alignment with the purpose of my soul? And I'm going to use that example. You're going to hear it. But that's something Neale handed to me. And I feel very fortunate to be able to say, I had dinner with Neale Donald Walsch one time. And we sat down and we were talking about this idea, this whole concept of spiritual businesses, and how do we take these things that are just so disparate and so far away? How do we smush sales and marketing with meditation and manifestation? Like, how do we make that all fit together? And where do we find that center line, or how do we find that direction? And Neale was saying that it's just like, it's asking yourself the question, how does this align with the purpose of my soul? And so I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as you start to hear some of this information, and as you start to engage with some of it, or even start kind of like sneaking your toe out into the spotlight of your own, of how does this align with the purpose of my soul? And it's not meant to be a limiting question, it's meant to be an invigorating question. It's a way for you to look at everything that's happening and saying, is there a lesson in here for me? Is there an opportunity for me to grow? Is there something that I'm not looking at or I'm not considering that's going to make a huge difference when it comes to me breaking through my own inner limitations, me stepping out and doing new things, engaging with technology, engaging with other people, self-promotion, and dare I say it, yes, sales and marketing. So I want you to just remember that. That's the one thing, if you could take away from this video or this podcast, is what does this have to do with the alignment of my soul? Think about that alignment of your soul when you're encountering things. So the thing I want to put in front of you now essentially is, what is it that you want to do? Like, how do you want to step into your spiritual spotlight? And the journey is different for everybody. So you could be the type of person that wants to be a practitioner. So you want to take some of the certifications that you've received over the years and turn that into something that you could create availability for in your life in a balanced way, where you could ask for what you deserve and receive that willingly and be able to give to another person in return for your coaching services or a reading or something like that. So there's that practitioner level. Then there's also the kind of teacher, coach, guide level, where you want to teach classes, or you want to be in front of groups, or you want to be a visionary, where you create like these huge movements. Now, all of this can seem a little overwhelming or daunting when you first engage with it, but you have to imagine everyone who's anyone in the spiritual industry started exactly where you are right now. There was no guide map, there was no rules, there was no way to guarantee that any of this would happen. But you look at somebody like Neale and look at the movement he's created, or you look at somebody like Wayne and look at the movement that they've created out there in the world that's lasting into this, even with Wayne, is like as a legacy of love that's out there. We never know where it's going to come from next, and so you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the world, if you want to put it that way, a little bit of pressure, a little healthy pressure on you to try to do this, to put yourself out there, to see if it works, to see if it sticks, to see if the universe keeps providing you with opportunities. And if it doesn't, or if it feels like it's not clicking, ask that question. What does this have to do with the alignment of my soul? And then refocus and shift a little bit and see what life and the universe and spirit puts in front of you over and over again to validate or to redirect you in another direction. Now, I think that there's this pressure, right? When you look at traditional marketing or traditional entrepreneurship, it's grind, push, like go as hard as you can, burn the boats. I don't subscribe to that. I very much am a safe and gentle, soft approach to exploring this, because a lot of times doing this, taking your spiritual exploration, something that's really personal for a lot of us, and making it public and turning it into a business can be one of the biggest challenges of your life. So it's you actualizing, it's you finding your voice, it's you breaking through any of the ego limitations that are in front of you. It's you being able to separate maybe yourself from the message sometimes, to be able to say, okay, this message is really important, so I'm going to let my own fears and worries just kind of drift off to the side so that I can be in a state of empowerment when I get this message out there. That's something I have to do every day. I'm not just saying these things to say them. These are all tools and things that I do to get ready for sitting in front of this camera and talking to all of you. Tony used to say all the time that, this Tony Robbins guy isn't real. I invented him out of thin air so that he could go out there and get this message in front of people. I'm paraphrasing. But that was essentially the message. And people are always kind of like scratching their head saying, all right, well, that doesn't make any sense. Look at you. You're right here. You're a whole person. And I feel like a lot of us need to start creating that moment when we get ready to sit down and write, or sit down and work on our websites, or even think about or brainstorm or mind map out what we want to create, is that we have to sort of get to that ultimate beautiful alignment of our soul, empowered state to be able to think clearly and make decisions. That in itself is a whole series of lessons that I teach about how to get your mindset aligned so that you can start stepping into this not in a way that's like you forcing yourself to do it, or again, like that whole burn your boats mentality, but doing it in a way that feels safe and gentle and appropriate for you, in a balanced way that fits into your life. So it's not disrupting everything and creating that any sort of friction or tension. It's really just you leaving room or creating space for you to grow into it, for you to blossom into it, and start really stepping into that spotlight. And I use that metaphor all the time because that's really what it feels like. The spotlight's there. Let's talk about that for a minute. The spotlight's there because we know now, for the first time ever, that in recorded history, more people are identifying as spiritual and not religious. More people are abandoning traditional religion and moving towards their own personal journeys with spirituality. And sometimes that takes the shape of things that we know of. Let's say angels, or energy healing, or chakras, or all those things that we've kind of been aware of for decades now at this point. Those are still being discovered by people. There's still people who are awakening. This kind of global awakening movement is still going on, and those numbers are growing. And as that happens, it would make sense that those people are looking for teachers and healers and guides of all shapes and sizes, of all walks in life, so that they can feel just like safe and taken care of and understood and seen as they go on this journey. So this industry doesn't have to look a specific way. It doesn't have to be a specific way. It really is just an amazing opportunity for all of us to succeed together and support each other, and not have it be about competition and who's got what and any of that comparison stuff that really does just it just deletes the joy out of this whole thing when you're constantly looking over your shoulder, or looking at what somebody else has done, or what they're up to, and comparing it against what you may be up to, or ideas that you've been trying to put words to or put actions to, and you just haven't been able to do it. So like I said, there's a lot to untangle here, but if any of this resonates with you, if this is part of what you've been waiting to hear, part of what you've been looking for in terms of support or a structure, or just like I refer to myself as a spiritual business Sherpa. Like, I'm the guy that's there to hand you that tool, or hand you that piece of information, or that moment of clarity, or that support, or that sympathy right at the moment that you need it, so that you can get over that next challenge, or get over that next hurdle, or make it to that next peak, so you can take a moment and a breath to look around and say, oh wow, this is totally what I wanted it to be, but more than I could have expected. Or, wow, this is great and I'm so proud of myself, but it didn't fulfill that thing that I was hoping it would. And just to know what the next step is, what direction to go in, how it all fits together. This is part of what makes it so powerful to be in a group like the Mooniverse Facebook page, which is an amazing group of like thousands of spiritual entrepreneurs that are trying to make it happen. And we're all supporting each other and helping each other out and making recommendations and celebrating and congratulating people publishing card decks, or launching courses, or launching websites, or just making their first video on social media and posting it. So there's a lot that's there to unpack as we start to explore all of this. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, because I do want to acknowledge all of you who are still here and listening and watching, that are just like totally scared out of your minds to do this thing, that like people won't take it seriously, or that you'll somehow get in trouble with your friends and family, or that like no one will care, or that it's been done before, or you're too old, and like all of those things that come up that we kind of worry about, or our egos start to put in front of us to say, hey, this isn't for you, you're not going to be able to do this. I want to invite you to question everything. Question that voice that's telling you that you can't do it. Question the limitations that you feel like that are on you. Question how you even exist inside of this industry, or in this world of spirituality. Like, are you a student? Are you a certified student? Are you a practitioner? Are you a brand new person? Like, where do you fit into that timeline of how much work you've done? Some of you have been doing this for decades, and now it's time to take everything you've learned, plus your own unique life experiences, and put those together and create opportunities for other people to skip to the front of that line, to make all of those breakthrough moments and those ahas faster than you ever did. And that's the gift in it, is that the work you've done could help somebody get there faster and easier than they ever thought possible. That's what drives me. The work that I've done over the last 10 years, I know can help all of you listening get to where you want to go faster and easier than you ever thought possible. Another affirmation that I love. So keep thinking about all these things: alignment of the soul, faster and easier than ever thought possible, stepping into your spotlight, because these are anchors, these are emotional anchors that are going to help you stay on track when you're drifting, when you're getting overwhelmed, when you're trying to figure out what does it all mean, what's the big picture. Just keep thinking of those things, and I'm going to give you more of those as you listen to the podcast and watch more of these videos. But today I wanted to invite you to a new opportunity, something that I've been working on for a very long time and something I'm really excited about, which is the spiritual business startup. Now, this is the result of, like I said, 10 years of working in this space and taking all the stuff that I've learned, all the very best tips and tools and techniques for getting through some of these bigger questions. So it's easy-ish to set up your website and set up your social media for some of us, but it's a little bit more, shall we say, adventurous for you to start to look inside to say, what is this thing that drives me? What is it that's keeping me going? What is it that I want to do? Who do I want to be? What challenges might I face? So this program I've put together, and it's safe and gentle, and it's really fun. It's got 4 main videos. That's me talking to you about what it is that it means to work in this space, to launch your spiritual business, or even think about launching your spiritual business. Following that, I've got this beautiful keynote presentation that I got to do a couple years ago in Switzerland, of all places, where I had to jump on stage almost at the last minute and do my thing. And now it's one of the first times I've ever been on stage, but I'm so proud of how this video turned out. So it covers so much of what I'm going to teach and so much of what I want to have out there in the world. So I wanted to share that with you too. And then I have interviews that I've done with some of my favorite spiritual teachers that I really believe in, that I think are out there doing some really great work. So you'll be able to engage with that. One's with Bradley Valentine, one's with Denise Lynn, and there's one with Lisa Williams. And it kind of gives you an opportunity to look at 3 different paths of what might happen when you start doing your thing out there in the world. So this is available at themuniverse.com, themuniverse.com/startup. And that's going to be a limited time offer. You can get it now for $97, and it's a 30-day money back guarantee. So there's really nothing for you to worry about here. There's no risk at this point. If you get through the program and 30 days in you didn't find a single thing in there that helped you, then get in touch with our team and we'll issue you a refund, or you can use it as a credit to getting something else, whatever it is that works for you. I'm committed to creating resources and tools that you feel good about, that you feel like meet you exactly where you need to be met, that support you exactly the way you need to, and just gives you a little bit of like an illuminated path ahead to say, oh, this is what it might look like, this is what it might feel like, and I've got this whole community, and I've got Mooney, and I've got, like my own relationship and connection with Spirit to guide me as I go through all of this. So if you're excited and you want to explore this, check it out at themuniverse.com/startup. It's $97, and it's got a whole bunch of resources in there, and there's some extra bonuses in there too. If you get in there and take a look, I'm going to invite you to join one of our monthly live group coaching calls. So I call it Dinner and a Mooney, but really what it is an opportunity for us to all just get together and talk about what we're up to, and talk about the things that we're looking at and maybe struggling with and proud of, and all of that together. Also, you're going to gain access to that Facebook group I was telling you about, so that you can start introducing yourself, networking with other people, talking with your peers, sharing ideas and thoughts, all inside of a safe space on Facebook, where you don't have to expose it to the world that this is what you're up to, but you will be exposing it to the world soon. So again, my name is Mooney. I'm so glad that you're here listening to this and joining me for the podcast on the YouTube channel, and I can't wait to see what we get up to together. All right, take care, and I'll see you all very soon.